A man named Sarah walks through a Buenos Aires neighborhood. Zero is a thug, and when he sees a car he likes, he climbs into the backseat and steals the stereo from the overhead compartment. Then he finds a pair of Ray-Bans and slips them into his pocket. He's still not satisfied with the fact that he violated the car. He squeezes hard, and his buttocks fart. He finally leaves, satisfied that his work is complete. That is the problem. The door remains closed. He tries 3 other doors, but none of them open, and he has no choice but to go to the next door back seat and attempt to open the car's trunk. When he is unable to do so, he becomes panicked and desperately attempts to break the car window, but fails. However, the experimental thug refuses to give up and disassembles the inside of the car door before reaching inside and attempting to open it, only to cause significant damage and begin to bleed. Attempts to open the car door are futile. He draws his pistol and fires through the front window. However, the bullet ricochets and lodges in one of his thighs. Zero screams in agony, bleeding profusely. Zero removes his shirt and wraps it around his wound. Shot in the thigh until now. He tries to attract the attention of someone outside in order to get them to assist him in getting out of the car, even if it means going to jail. Fortunately, a woman emerges from the car and begins applying makeup through the car window. Zero tries to ask for assistance, but it appears that the woman outside the car cannot see inside. He yells at her, but she walks away without looking back. He tries to call his wife, but the phone battery dies before he can do so. He falls asleep after several hours. He wakes up thirsty the next day. He's out of water and has no choice but to lick the window. He later takes the car stereo out of her bag and places it to listen to the radio out of desperation. The radio plays her favorite song, and he loses himself in it, forgetting his problems for just a moment. Despite the fact that the song is a little loud due to not discussing doing the yummy in the car, it casually describes the turning situation, fogged up windows, reclining seats, and doing it all night. For some reason, the song motivates him to repeatedly bang on the door with a tool in an attempt to open it. The phone begins to ring. It's the car radio. When I turn to answer the phone, I hear a man on the other end speak. Dr. Enrique Ferrari is the man who introduces himself. And welcome to the car, Cairo. Enrique continues, stating that he owns the Jeep and has been robbed 28 times in his life. He goes on to say that Cairo is the 29th thief who attempted to steal the revelation. He enrages the hero and demands his release. But Enrique tells him to stop talking and listen. Enrique goes on to say that he calls his Forks 4 car, which has an alarm connected to his phone and allows him to lock all of the doors. It is impervious to bullets. Because of the active suspension, it cannot be moved from the inside. It's also noiseless. Furthermore, all of the windows, including the front windshield, are tinted. The only thing that isn't bulletproof is the gas tank, which can hold 120 liters of fuel, but is currently empty. Enrique claims that a full gas tank is a potential bomb, and that if he tries something unusual, the car may explode as well. I turn around and listen in disbelief. Enrique maintains that he is a 60-year-old widower. He had a typical middle-class childhood. Their house's doors were never shut at the time. Enrique claims that life today is in such bad shape, despite the fact that he misses the life he had as a child. He inquires of Hiro what he would do if he discovered his son stealing. Cairo, on the other hand, is fed up and threatens to report Enrique to the police. Cairo instructs Enrique to release him so he can murder him and his entire family. The phone, however, hangs up before Cairo can finish. Then Enrique turns on the air conditioning and adjusts the temperature to the lowest setting to torture the thief. Cairo tries unsuccessfully to turn off the air conditioning. Cairo takes off the shirt that was covering the wound and puts it back on to stop the bleeding. After torturing the robber for a long time, his thigh rips apart from his jeans and he wraps it around his wound. After a while, Enrique calls him again and asks what he will do if he discovers his son stealing. He promises to give him water if he correctly answers the question. Enrique is not satisfied with Hiro's response to this question. Cairo begs him to stop, telling him he has learned his lesson. But Enrique is unconcerned and tells Hiro again. An incident reveals to him that 2 men broke into his daughter's house last December while he was parking his car. Enrique reveals that he has prepared his daughter for such situations. She never makes eye contact and always has money ready to hand out. The training was insufficient. For 3 hours, the thieves held a gun to Enrique's grandchildren's heads. Hiro, on the other hand, is uninterested in Enrique's stories and asks him what kind of doctor denies an injured man water. Enrique congratulates him on the question, and asks him to guess what kind of doctor he is before addressing him as Ga. While Cairo is thinking, a police car arrives and stops in front of his Jeep. Cairo is filled with hope again and tries to get the police's attention. However, the officer issues a ticket to the Jeep and departs several hours later. Enrique returns to the phone and requests Cairo's full name and ID number in exchange for water. After Cairo agrees, Rico leads him to the water from the hose in the back laundry room. The water is a light blue color, but it is dehydrated. He is unconcerned. Water exhaled a sigh of relief. Cairo, on the other hand, is still hungry and without food, so he is almost forced to eat an insect that has snuck into the car. Later, Cairo examines his wound and discovers that he is turning yellow and has a fever. Enrique decides to give him a break and turns on the air conditioning to cool him down, revealing that he, too, is sick. He is dying of cancer, and doctors have given him a year to live. Cairo takes off his clothes and passes out while Enrique continues to rant. Jiro's skin has turned yellow as well. Later, Cairo searches the car manual for a way out, but he simply eats his page out of desperation and frustration. But he has reached rock bottom, and he urinates into a container and drinks his own urine to quench his thirst. Things take a turn for the better when a thief tries to break into the Jeep, giving him hope. Passers-by, however, discover the thief and beat him up before handing him over to the police. Night soon falls, and dehydration and hunger turn him into a philosopher who observes that with such a small percentage of people, so many things must be distributed so that everyone can have them. He also claims that the world is full of poor people who are subjected to laws made by rich people for rich people. But he insists that he will not obey them even if they shoot him. He explains that this is why he, like his father and grandfather, became a thief. Enrique calls him again the next day and reads in the newspaper. Enrique expresses his happiness and leads him to a chocolate bar hidden behind the brakes. Cairo repeatedly hits one of the doors that he has managed to disassemble even its metal part from the inside after spending the entire day resting and watching the people in the neighborhood. Finally, he succeeds in making a small hole in the door that leads to the outside. He screams through the small hole in an attempt to get someone's attention, but he is unsuccessful. Enrique later calls to say he has contacted the Cairo family. When he hears the name of his Cairo family, he bursts into tears and warns Enrique not to hurt them. He then asks him, in tears, what he did to deserve this. However, Enrique does not stop and pulls out Cairo's criminal record, revealing that Cairo has previously killed someone. Cairo, who is crying, denies killing anyone. Cairo entered the house of the Salerno brothers in barracks to rob them, according to Enrique, who has receipts. However, they attempted to defend themselves. Cairo then shot them with his pistol. Enrique also mentions an elderly bus driver who Cairo severely abused. Cairo, on the other hand, refuses to accept responsibility and blames the driver for not allowing him to rob the passenger. He claims that he made mistakes and that he has already paid for them. Cairo later charges his phone using solar energy and calls his wife. However, the call is routed to voicemail. On the voicemail, he confesses everything to his wife and apologizes for making another mistake. Cairo plays with the car's start button and manages to start it after crying profusely. It appears that it can only be started without a key after a certain number of presses. He fastens his seatbelt and shifts into reverse. However, the gear becomes stuck in reverse mode, forcing him to drive in reverse. To get people's attention, he speeds up the car and crashes into a pole. Fortunately, the airbag deploys in time, and he is unharmed. Cairo, who is injured, eventually manages to break out the weakened rear window and flee. He's in a lot of pain, but he manages to drag himself to a nearby gas station where he serves some food. The restaurant manager orders him to pay for the food as he takes each bite, and he immediately leaves. Cairo is enraged by this and shoots the manager. Cairo then awakens from his dream, realizing he had been dreaming and that he is still trapped in the car. Cairo threatens to commit suicide after Enrique calls again. He holds the gun to his lips and pulls the trigger. However, the gun jams. Enrique laughs at the thief's misery and asks him to look in front of the car, revealing himself in the process. Enrique enters the car with Zero. He is exhausted and lacks the strength to flee. Enrique attends to the churro's wound before becoming distracted by a work call, while Cairo appears to fall asleep at the same time. Cairo jumps after failing to shoot an angry doctor. He eventually gets out of the car and fires a shot into the air to request assistance. However, Enrique approaches him again and attempts to drag him to the SUV. When a policewoman discovers them, she orders the doctor to drop the weapon. 2 hours pass, and the media and police have surrounded the area. But Enrique refuses to leave, claiming that he is the victim of the thief. When all else fails, the police summon Julia Marta, a retired negotiator, who asks the doctor what to do next. Enrique lists a number of issues that people face on a daily basis, and for which the government does nothing because there are no injuries. Enrique claims that on his way to work, he must avoid 2,000 dog poop on the street because dog owners do not clean up after their pets when no one is looking. The public sympathizes with and mourns for Enrique. Julio refuses to give up and continues to speak with Enrique, eventually convincing him to let Cairo go. Cairo is arrested, and Julio asks Enrique to surrender, but he refuses and gets into his car after placing a timer on top of it. Julio suspects it's a bomb and orders everyone to return. The Jeep explodes, killing Enrique but setting fire to the hearts of all the commoners. The conclusion: thank you for taking the time to watch. To receive new videos like this, please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon.